right now, we go out to the Fan Hotline presented by Sullivan Super Service, Pittsburgh's trusted plumbing and HVAC provider for over 50 years. That is where we find the great Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette. Ray, before we get into Steelers chatter, our fan producer hot dog eating contest is this afternoon at 3 p.m. So that includes myself. It includes Harry Callis. It includes City Limits. It also includes a handful of the part-time guys as well. Little intern Dom is in the mix. We have a couple of guys that work sometimes on the weekends and evenings. Where are you feeling the betting odds go? I feel that Harry is your favorite going into this.
Yeah, I mean, Callis has to be what, minus 500, maybe do like even money, right? Yeah, I think it'd be an upset if Callis did not win. But hey, maybe you could pull it off, Donny.
I'm hoping. I mean, I'm gonna get like a nice long workout in after I'm done this morning, and then come back here around 2:30. Hopefully the appetite is built up. But yeah, I agree with you, Ray. I think that Harry is the man to win this thing this afternoon. Have you ever taken part in any sort of hot dog eating contest?
I have not, but are these odds on like the sports books? Can you like go to Vegas or
we tried, Ray,
to the casino? Yeah, there you go.
But there's $500 at stake too, so that's added incentive for me. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, Pony has put a $500 prize up for grabs here, so the motivation is certainly there. Ray, I was on the Chipped Ham and Football podcast yesterday with one of your PG brethren, Brian Batko. We did a draft of Steelers breakout players in 2024. I had the first selection, and I went with Keanu Benton. Why do you think that was a good or bad selection on my part?
No, I think it's good. If you look, Donnie, at the age of that defensive line, I think they have to give more playing time to Keanu Benton in the sub packages. And I understand that they kind of eased him into things as a rookie. They do that with all of their rookies. But if you remember at the end of last season, and I think Mike Tomlin or Terrell Austin repeated it again a few weeks ago, he's got a chance to be a dominant football player. Tomlin and Austin are both on the record saying that. So I'm with you. If you want to look at the defense, we could probably talk a lot more about skill guys being breakout players because that's where the stats are going to be. But I think that's a great pick. I think Keanu Benton only had one sack as a rookie. If he plays in sub packages this year, and you would think, with Cam Hayward being 35 years old, that he would even see a little bit more playing time than he did last year. I think those numbers can go up to 6 or 7, even 8 this year if things break the right way.
I feel like you can't say with confidence that really anybody besides Benton will be on this team in like 2 to 3 years' time. Like, I feel like Ogunjobi will be out the door. Hayward is a question mark either with another team or due to retirement. Loudermilk and Leal, they are two fringe guys to just make the roster at this point year in and year out. Loudermilk more so because he's been around since 2021. Monty Adams is like a nice complimentary player, but he's not a long-term answer. Then you have people like Dean Lowry, Braden Fehoko, who will probably go back and forth from the practice squad. I feel like Benton's the only guy that I'm confident in saying will stick around for a minute.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for the Steelers, Donnie, I know you follow the draft like I do, they're just not coming out at that position like they used to. So when the Steelers do rebuild this line, they might have to do it through free agency, or maybe this coming draft will be better than this past draft. But yeah, for the 2024 season at least, they're going to have to get by with their aging unit there. I will say one thing about Leal. Austin said this a few weeks ago. He is in better shape than he ever has been. So it's a third-round pick. There's talent there, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been able to, to break out just yet. But if he can get it together, that would be huge for this defensive line. It's his third year. It's kind of put up or shut up time. And if there's one guy you want to watch, maybe not be a breakout player, but maybe be a guy who comes in and surprises a little bit, I'll go with Leal.
Ray, when you think of other breakout type guys, somebody else that I brought up talking with Brian, a player that we've been waiting to break out, but also wondering at the same time, are the expectations just too high based on what we saw this guy do at the Combine? I mean, you look at a player like Calvin Austin III, and he had a couple of highlights last year, and by a couple I mean a couple. He had like two, and he's been somebody that has looked good in practice. He's looked good out in Latrobe during training camp. He will look good in the preseason, but he really hasn't been much more than another Mr. August type player. Like, what do you think it will take for him to shine through? I mean, there's really there's an opening here at receiver.
Most definitely. And, if you look at Calvin Austin, he's 5'8". He's slight. He's probably only 170, 180 pounds. If he's going to be a guy who contributes more this year, he's going to have to be that catch and run guy. Get it to him in short spaces and let him see if he can run after the catch. He is not going to be a guy that you're going to run downfield on intermediate routes and expect him to be a possession receiver. He had that one nice deep catch against the Raiders last year, but asking a guy who's 5'8" to go up and get 50-50 balls deep, I don't think you're going to have much success doing that. So, he's probably misused a little bit in the Matt Canada offense. Of course, he missed his rookie season because of the injury. So I view him in a little bit different light than Leal, but kind of similar too. Year three, give him a little bit of a pass for that rookie season injury. But, if Austin is going to do something with his football team, you would think it would be this year. And hopefully Arthur Smith has a plan for that. I think they could use him. I don't, view him as a number 2, Donnie, but I think maybe as a 4 or a 5. Yeah, I think he can contribute this year and, put up some better stats than he did last year.
George Pickens was left off the CBS rankings of top 20 wide receivers. I didn't think it was necessarily a complete snubbing. I thought he could have fallen into maybe somewhere between 17 to 20, maybe 18 to 20. What do you think it will take for him to break into that barrier?
Yeah, I mean, Donnie, I say it all the time. He's the Steelers' number 1 receiver. I'm not convinced that he's viewed around the league as a number 1 receiver. So, he had over, 1,100 yards last year. It was a good season. But a lot of that came with big plays late in the season. So I just think people on the national level kind of want to see more consistency. Can you be a guy who goes out there every single week and gets 5, 6, 7 catches, close to 100 yards, between 80 and 120 every single week. So that consistency is probably the thing that's holding him back. Again, I hate to keep going back to Matt Canada, but, I think he was probably a little bit of a victim, of Canada's inability to craft good game plans and to call good games. So, hopefully with Arthur Smith, we could see even more out of Pickens. But I'm with you. I wouldn't consider that a snub at all. I think he's a guy who is still developing. And I think, honestly, leadership and maturity, all those things play into your image around the league. And I think that's probably an issue with some people out there as well.
Do you think any or all 3 of the main tight ends could see a little bit of a breakout in their own right with the new offense?
Yeah, I mean, Freiermuth, obviously. I mean, I think he was somewhat of a breakout player as a rookie, with all the success he had in the red zone. But I think he's a talented pass catcher. And, Arthur Smith uses his tight ends. Looking at this roster and right now kind of the opening at number 2 receiver, you could see a guy like Freiermuth get a lot more targets than he did with Canada as the OC. I go back to what happened, Canada's last game, when Mike Sullivan and Eddie Faulkner crafted their first game plan, it was obvious they wanted to get Freiermuth involved, and they did. I don't see why you couldn't do that. Not every week he's going to be your number 1, but I'm sure 4, 5, 6 times a season he's going to have matchups that you can take advantage of. And I think Smith is obviously more competent than Matt Canada, so I would expect that to happen this year.
Pro Football Focus ranked the Steelers' offensive line 9th best in the National Football League. I feel like the potential is there, but it seems like just that right now, like a lot of projection and potential. So where do you come down on that ranking?
Yeah, no, I'm assuming, knowing Pro Football Focus and the way they grade Dan Moore, I'm assuming they're projecting Broderick Jones to be the left tackle and Fautanu to be the right tackle.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you look at Sam Malu had a good year. He didn't give up a sack. James Daniels is solid. So other than left tackle and Moore being replaced, the only other question mark would be, does Zach Frazier come in as a rookie and play well, or do the Steelers have to get by for a little bit of the season with Nate Herbig as the center? I suppose, that could maybe pull the Steelers down a little bit. Top 10 offensive line, I'm not too sure about that going into the season, but I would say top 15. And if things go well, if Fautanu is the real deal, if Jones looks a little bit better on the left side, then I could totally see that happening by the end of the season.
Ray Fittipaldo, Steelers insider from the Post-Gazette. Thanks for taking the time this morning, Ray.
All right, Donnie, have a good day.